Hello, hello. So today I want to show how to create some cool transitions. So first we need some images to transition between. So we'll take a look at 1x. Here's some gorgeous look test. Yes. Very good. Let's get rid of the symbol library. So how to make a transition between these both render. So first we can use the blend. And here we have our blend. And what we can do is to use the alpha channel of image B, just like this. So we have a fade in, fade out. So we can automate this with RGBA to color. So let's pin the blend. Pin is here, or P on the keyboard. So with RGBA to color, if I change the alpha channel value, you see that we can make the transition. So in order to automate this, I will use a trigger anim. The anim mode, I will set it to forward and backwards. And on the trigger, I will add a boolean. So now, when the boolean is false, we have image A. And then we click on, when we activate the boolean, when it's true, we have a smooth transition between both images. So this is the most basic transition. We can also use blend with mask. So let's connect image A and image B. Let's pin blend with mask. Oh, the alpha channel is not working. It's because the alpha channel is driven now by the mask, and we need a mask. So what can we use as a mask? Let's try a linear gradient. And now you can see that we have both images at the same time with a nice fade in the center. So let's set the size mode of linear gradient to align to width. And now if I play with the offset value, and now we see image B or image A. So let's automate this. So this time, instead of using RGBA to color, I will connect the result of the trigger anim to the offset parameter. Let's see what we get. It's not complete. So I will need to use a remap here. Remap. And right now, our boolean is false. This means this output is 0. Here we have 0, but we see both. So here in the remap, we have range min 0, range in max 1. So the range out min, I will set it to -1. And now we get a smooth sliding transition horizontal. Horizontal smooth sliding transition. Nice. But there's also another way to do it. So instead of using the offset, I will have my linear gradient like this. Let's make sure the interpolation is linear, okay? And now I can add a remap color. Now with remap color, I can use cycle in order to move that gradient, so we get the same result. So maybe we can try something else instead of a linear gradient. Let's see what if we have other modes. Oh, let's try. Oh, we have different presets here. This one looks interesting. And now when I use a cycle, I've created another transition. So let's animate it. Let's use our remap and connect it to the cycle parameter. Interesting. So maybe we can use another, we have another ID. Let's use a polar coordinates. Oh, interesting. And we just created a new transition. So let's have fun with polar coordinates. There's also a polar to Cartesian. Interesting. So what I want to explain is that any grayscale image will work perfectly as a mask for blend with mask. So you can be creative. You can imagine anything, like a text. But this text, if I pin it, it's a bit small. Let's increase its size. And also, to make it more fun, more interesting, I will add a blur. Let's increase the blur. It's just, we are trying things. So let's see what we get. Interesting. So we can play with this gradient in the remap color. So let's say I want, let's change the interpolation to old. And let's move this here in the center. And let's see what we get. So it works better if we have more gradient like this. So if we find the edges during the transition a bit too hard, we can create here. Let's go back to interpolation linear. Let's add a color. Let's set it to black. And we can bring it close to the white. So if I zoom in, you see we have a small transition between white and black. And it should soften the edges. Oh, the edges were only softened on one side. So I believe we need to do like this. Oh, we need a white ear and black ear. But that's not exactly what I expect. We have an issue here. This is a fail. So this is not the best way to get smooth edges for our transition on both sides. But hey, you can't have everything. Okay, so let's move to another idea. Also, I want to be able to use this with all kinds of visuals, like for example those. So I will need to create my own transition operator. So what I can do, I can add a layer 2D here, and I will select everything, right click, symbol definition, combine into new type, and I will create a namespace for transition. Let's call it transition. Transition 01. Let's combine it. We can get rid of the layer 2D. And now we can double click on it in order to see everything. And instead of having those two here, I will copy them. Let's go back. So to go inside an operator, you can double click on it, and to go back, you can double click in the void. Or you can also use the I key on your keyboard to go inside and the U key to go outside. Like in, up, in, up. So let's go back in. Let's get rid of look test 3 and look test 2. Here, blend with mask. I will right click on the image A parameter and click on select publish as input. We have image A input here. And do the same with image B, publish as input. So now when I go outside, I can connect my two images to my new transition parameter, my new transition operator. And also I will need this boolean. So let's disconnect it and select this one, publish as input. We get our trigger. It should be a boolean when we go outside. Let's select our operator. We can see here we have the parameters and we have the trigger that creates our transition. But trigger is not the name I like, so let's right click on the parameter and select rename input. Let's call it transition. Like this. What can we do else? I'm not such a fan of this one. Ooh. This gradient looks interesting, so let's see what we get. Nice. Maybe we can change its interpolation. It's linear, so we can take a look at bias and gain. So let's reset it and try it. All right. So now let's continue to add more fun things. Maybe we can do this. Since we have this blend here, we could use image A to the blend and image B. And here we could add a pick texture, connect blend to pick texture, connect blend with mask to pick texture, and then we will connect pick texture to the output. So now when I select pick texture, here I have an index. So if I set the index to 1, blend with mask will be used. So here I have my transition with blend with mask. And if I set the index to 0, we will use blend. Nice. So let's publish this index as parameter. Right click, publish as input. And I can give it another name, like rename input. Since we are in the transition operator, let's call it type. So type 0 will be blend and type 1 will be with a mask. Okay. We can tidy our patch. Also, we can have different gradient. We can prepare a few of them. Let's duplicate it. Let's select it and Ctrl D to create another one. And we can use pick texture like this. So for this one, I will set it everything back to default. Okay, so I need to use horizon here. Alright, so can also publish this one, the index of our gradient texture, publish as input. call it style. I'm not sure about that name. Gradient style or gradient. I remember one I wanted to create. So let's duplicate this one. Let's use polar again. Let's connect it here. If I pin polar coordinate, we get this, which is interesting. But I believe that if we rotate our gradient like this and align it to width, we get this beautiful gradient. And now we know that the one with polar coordinate is index 2. If I use index 2 here, let's pin our operator. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? Let's pin it again. Oh, we can get some crazy things. Let's try it. So as you can see, the sky is the limit. Okay, so now let's have more fun and create another crazy transition. So for this, I will want to use a displace. So let's see what displace is doing. If I connect an image to displace, I get this image, and I need a displace map. So I will use a fractal noise as displace map. And now when I can play with displacement like this. Or I can also play with displacement offset. Maybe I don't need to go to increase the value that much. So we get some nice displacement. So what I could do, maybe I need to reorganize everything. So we have our blend transition here, blend with mask. Or remap color here. This one I'm not using it. Those gradient, I will put them here. So displace. We have image A that goes into displace, and I will take the output of displace and set it to image A on blend with mask. And I will duplicate displace and use image B, and we'll replace the input of image B on blend with mask. And we can use the same fractal noise here. Also, as you can see, the fractal noise right now is a square, and our image is the same size as our renderer. So most of the time I think you will prefer to use a normal resolution like 720p or 1080p or even 4K. So we'll set it to 1080p. And here the fractal noise, I can change its resolution as well. Here, if I set it to 0, set the value to 0, you will see that, let's go back to field resolution, which means filling this render area. If I change the size of the area, you can see that the resolution here of the fractal noise and our image is evolving. But let's go back to 1080p. Okay, so let's set the displacement offset to 0. I need the type 0. Oh no, my displace was pinned. That's why nothing is happening. So I need to unpin. We see our transition one that is selected. Let's pin it. Now we can play. So this is the basic blend that use type 1. Okay. So what we can do first is to use fractal noise as a blending image, as a mask. So fractal noise is index 3, gradient 3. So instead of gradient, I should call it mask. Rename input, mask. All right. So now I'm going to use this output, this value from trigger anim, and I will use it to displace the images. So let's try it. Let's take the trigger anim value and plug it to displacement. Do the same here and see what we get. It's not exactly what I want. It's because I need to invert. So right now this image is displaced, but I want to see it undisplaced. I want the displacement to happen during the transition. So here from the trigger anim output result, I will use remap. And now as we can see, the value is 1. So the displacement here is 1 as well. So I want to invert this. So the output mean will be 1 and the range output will be 0. Let's connect it to displacement. And it should be 0. Why it's not 0? Or maybe I made a mistake. Here the displacement offset is still of a value. Let's check here. Okay. So let's try. That was subtle. So maybe we want to increase the output. So let's set this range out minimum to, let's say, 5. Let's see what we get. Okay, that was interesting. So our displays also have different parameters, and instead of displacement intensity gradient, I will use, let's try intensity, what we get, to see what we get. Oh, that's not bad at all. So maybe here this value 1 was too much, 5 was too much, so let's try with 1. So let's also set the displays for image A. Let's try intensity. Let's see what we get. That's pretty fun. Nice. And I think we saw everything. Oh, maybe we can also try this. So let's add a normal map operator, and we'll connect the fractal noise to it, and we'll set the mode to, let's keep the regular mode, and this normal map I will use it with a displace map. I wonder what we will get. It's not very interesting. What if I increase the impact? Oh, I forgot. I need to set the displace mode to normal map. Let's try again. Not very dramatic. So here in normal map we have different modes. So let's try gray to normalized RGB signed. Let's try. That was really not interesting. So maybe instead of displacement, I need to connect it to displacement offset. Let's try. Oh, interesting. But now it's not that maybe I can change a bit this, and I will use a remap just for the displacement of the first one. Let's set it back to normal like this, and let's try. And you know what is missing? Our fractal noise. It's static. It's always the same. So here we have animation, and we can set the random phase. We can add time here. And now it's evolving. So let's try again. It's already more fun. Maybe we can set the bias and gain in order to get a change this like this. We do the same here. Let's see what we get. That's too. I don't like it. So it should be the other way. Yeah, that's it. So maybe this fractal noise gives, we have different parameters, different variations. I'll try this one. Set this color to black again, this one to white. It looks like we get some dramatic effects. You can change the scale like this. Okay, so that's pretty fun. So maybe we don't always want to use the displace. So we can, I think the best way to do it is to create another blend with mask. Let's connect the remap color to the mask. Let's connect again image A directly to blend with mask, image B. And let's connect it here. So now I have my operator. I have three types of transition: fade in, fade out. Type 1, we have a basic mask. And yeah, let's use type 2. I must not forget to use and this fractal noise is back to its resolution. So let's do like this. And to be sure that we don't override this parameter if we try different presets, let's press Ctrl, hold Ctrl and click here. We'll add an int 2, set to 00. So now I can change different presets. If I choose a new preset, let's try this one, it will remain, the resolution won't be affected. And I wonder, maybe we could even use we could displace. We are not forced to use fractal noise as displacement map. But I leave you to it. You can experiment, have fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. When I create a button, I can stop playing with it. That's pretty interesting. I really like the intensity. Intensity version. Let's try again. That's interesting. So the intensity prefers, let's bypass the normal map. Let's see what we get. Okay, now it's boring. Okay, so now, why it's boring like this? Let me try like this. Oh, it's because of the offset. When we use intensity, we need to use displacement. And I will use this one. Yeah. That's it. Bye bye.